Hey, Armin here. Welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show, where we cover training, nutrition, supplementation strategies, and a whole lot more. So stand by. Hey, and welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
And I'm Frank Mills, and Armin and I have another great show for you today. Thank you for joining us here with the NSP Nutrition Show. Today we're going to be talking about Program 8 of the Master Series. Vince has more information for us, right, Armin? And we're going to get into that. And then also, as in the second part of the show, we're going to talk more about Program 8 and the benefits of desiccated beef liver, which Armin and I partake in. So, hey, it's going to be fun. And, Armin, a lot going on here at NSP Nutrition. I was actually looking on the website the other day, and I see this new ambassador program. What's that all about?
Well, they're just looking for other people that would like to share the news and let people know about the NSP products, but at the same time, if they do that, and they could actually make some commission from letting people know about the products and just become a kind of a reseller. But it's a really easy thing for them to do. We have some support that goes with it. So yeah, if somebody is interested in reselling the NSP products to other people, there's different commission levels depending on how much you sell. I think it's a great program. I know you're part of it. I'm part of it. So
absolutely,
would recommend people check it out. It's very minimum to check it out because it can also save you money on your own personal purchases too.
Absolutely. So check it out. And we got a lot of stuff going on at NSP. A huge sale on Vince's Gym. You want to jump into that? A lot of great content there. And much more coming from what I understand. So, hey, good stuff from the NSP Nutrition Company. And you're probably noticing if you get emails or notices from NSP, you're seeing a lot of information coming out from them, including talking about this show, which is really nice. Right, Armin?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, again, to get the word out there, it's always good.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's dig into our first topic, Program 8 from the Master Series from Vince Garanda. Armin, we've been through 7 of them now. We're on 8. What's involved in Program 8 of the Master Series?
Well, it's pretty impressive how he has different pieces of content he wants to cover at these different stages of development. So it's very interesting. So this one, he goes into what he calls comprising nature. We'll talk about that. Positive nitrogen balanced diet.
Okay.
The cholesterol controversy. Then training push pull, which is doing a 72-hour triple split type of routine, but it's done with the circuit style. So we'll kind of elaborate with that. It's one exercise for 3 sets of 12 reps, except for the calves. He does 20 on that. And then we go into pretty good detail about the benefits of beef liver, and we'll cover that in the second part of the segment. But yeah, I mean, it's like, geez, he's always got so much more stuff to talk about. Of course, I've been training for close to 40 years, and it's just amazing how much more stuff there is out there, because there's just a lot to know, a lot to learn for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to dig into this a little bit. Let's start with compromising nature. What the heck does that mean?
Well, it's called comprising nature.
Oh, comprising. No wonder I didn't understand it, right?
Yeah, well, I never really understand it either. But basically what he does, he talks about how society, is brainwashing people into thinking they need to follow what they say, follow the herd concept. And so it's like in today right now, you see a lot of media coverage about plant-based diets, and that's the best way to go. There's so much research that says that's the best way to go, because these things, they come and go. And then, watching your cholesterol, you check your cholesterol, when you go to the doctor, it's all about cholesterol. Like it's that big a deal. So
Hmm.
that's what you see. And so what he says is most people are lacking self-esteem, and then to the point they don't even trust their own observations as being even valid.
Hmm.
So Vince points out here, don't have comprising nature, stop following the herd. All right. And that kind of mentality, and learn yourself, be your own advocate, learn
Hmm.
what's out there and learn what can work. But if you follow the herd, probably not going to be the best way to go. It's just like with anything else. If somebody's telling you to buy a stock, this example comes up a lot, and everybody's telling you about buying stocks, probably a good time to not buy any stocks, probably a good time to sell.
Right. You're
Because
absolutely right.
everybody's in it, it's getting inflated. So anyway, so this is another example. So I was pretty surprised by him going into that.
So, what about the positive nitrogen balanced diet? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, it's what all he's talking about here is just make sure you have some protein every 3 to 4 hours to keep the protein synthesis process working. And
Hmm.
so, as part of that, that's when he starts talking about recommending eating eggs and sipping his drink that he like to suggest to people, the 36 eggs a day, up to 36 eggs a day drink. So you have that every 3 or 4 hours. So you always have protein synthesis. So your body's always building more tissue and recovering. And so as part of that, even though you're having these eggs, he'd also suggest having up to 1 pound of red meat, uh, and have that with non-starchy vegetables. So I mean that's a lot of food. And if you're a big person, probably not a big deal. For
Right.
me, that's
Right.
a lot of food because I only weigh like 175, 172 at this point. So but at the same time, I understand why he would suggest that, because I try to do something every 3 to 4 hours, but I don't have food every 3 to 4 hours. I'm just using
Hmm.
supplements in between my meals. But the protein drink would be a good one to take in between. And I could probably add that in too, just if I want to be a little more disciplined with putting in more protein. But I feel
Hmm.
like what I'm doing is also working. So, but if you're new and you're trying to figure something out to help with your caloric and protein intake, then that protein drink is a great way to go. Um, and the other part of this diet is because of the way you're consuming food, and it's
Hmm.
even though it's low non-starchy vegetables, you're not going to feel hungry, and you're not going to be really what you would call weary or tired because you have plenty of nutrition going on. So you're definitely going to be in a calorie surplus. It's just a matter of fine tuning how much food you need, your calorie caloric balance, as they would call it, to
Hmm.
maintain what you need to do to hit your goals. So that
Okay.
was that's pretty good information.
Hmm. Well, you did mention the cholesterol controversy. I feel that we're still going through that now because a lot of
Yeah. Oh yeah.
people worry about their cholesterol depending on what they've had happen in their lives. And, you
Mhm.
know, I'm kind of curious that it was even more prevalent back then, but can you elaborate a little bit more on what the cholesterol controversy really was?
Actually, that's when looked like for me this comment was made in the 80s, and that's when everything from the 70s on, all I want to talk about is what's causing all these heart attacks and strokes. And some of these physicians felt it was all about cholesterol,
Hmm.
but also a lot of them didn't agree. So during this period, Vince was stating that a lot of them didn't agree with this cholesterol controversy. But then he also did some research on it, and he basically stated that Eskimos who eat nothing but meat, and which is protein and fat, period. American Indians, Plains Indians, especially the tribes,
Hmm.
mountain men, African Maasai, and other meat-based cultures who drink 3 or 4 quarts of milk daily and eat huge quantities of meat all have low cholesterol levels and virtually
Hmm.
no heart disease. So that's what he was prefacing there in the statement. So stop worrying about cholesterol, focus more on your nutrition. Uh, and, as what happened is people start eating more carbohydrates because that's the food of choice because there's no fat in it. And look what
Hmm.
it's done to American society. It's really sad what's going on out there. And people still aren't picking it up. They think, well, they keep eating the carbohydrates, especially the processed ones, and all it's doing is making us extremely overweight and sick. But
Mm-hmm.
he tried to make the point, but what are you going to do? So he made the
Right.
statement,
Right.
hoping people would go that route. But you got a lot of people in the medical field, man. They're just hell bent on this whole cholesterol thing. And there's some lot of new studies coming out now that and statements also about this whole cholesterol statin drug thing has just been way overdone. We'll see what happens going forward, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say you're slowly going to see a better trend. But that's when you go to your doctor, all they want to talk about is what's your cholesterol, because they just want to prescribe something for it because they're
Mm-hmm.
so brainwashed on that's the thing that's going to kill you. And the statistics now are if you have low cholesterol, you die sooner. So go figure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got people I'm working with. Their total cholesterol, because they're on statins, is like 129, 120. They're still trying to drive it lower. And I'm like, that is not healthy. Do some research, be your own
Mm-hmm.
advocate. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Low cholesterol is not healthy. You need cholesterol to rebuild cells. And a lot of them, their glucose levels are going up because the statins is not allowing them to process the carbohydrates they're taking. So the glucose readings are up. So now it's diabetes time,
Mm-hmm.
pre-diabetes conditions. So anyways, I don't want to get off course here,
Right.
but there we go.
Well, it does seem like there's a lot of discussion out there about
Yeah.
not only cholesterol, but carbs and sugar as well.
Well,
But,
yeah.
the one thing I look back on too, Armin, is, think of where we were 20 years ago and think of where we are now. The availability of food is
Yeah.
really contributing to the problem. I mean, you can get anything that you want basically at any time you want with a touch of your phone and ordering it, right?
Well, that and people are brainwashed to thinking you have to have 3 meals a day. I mean, you
Right.
had obese people who aren't even doing much day to day, and they're all hitting their 3 meals a day. They're not really missing it, okay, or more, because now you have a lot of nutritionists say we need to snack, you need to eat more to keep your metabolism working. So it's a lot of massive confusion.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, people are just eating way too much food based on their activity level. They don't need all that food. They'd be better off with two, maybe 1 meal a day, and they would be fine. But that's a whole nother discussion. So,
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's change gears here. Let's get
all right.
into the push pull 72-hour triple split training. Now, what did change there?
Okay. So at this stage, he's changing up how you're going to combine your muscle groups,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty interesting. And it's for 3 training days. So day one, you're just going to be doing the pushing muscles. So that's going to be pecs, as he put it, triceps, and then the front delts.
Mm-hmm.
And you do everything in a circuit form. So I'll kind of go over that a little bit more. But a circle is whatever exercises you're going to do. You're going to do one exercise and go right to the next exercise, etc., till you get down with the total amount of exercises in the program, and then start back over. So you
Okay.
go one after another. So it's kind of like a giant set, as another way of putting it. And you just do so many circuits of that, which is basically 3 circuits of 12 reps. So, all right. So then for day two, that's pulling. So this is going to be working what he put it was the lats and the bicep and the rear deltoids, because you're doing all pulling movements. And then you also would do some forearms as well with that circuit system. So that was day two. Then day three would back to the thighs by themselves, and this way he would focus on the leg bicep curl, or different ways of training leg biceps, and then the
Mm-hmm.
squats, and then calves, and that again would be done a circuit system. So you go from a quad exercise to hamstring exercise to a calf exercise, and then rest, and then go back again.
So 3 sets of 12 reps, except for calves, which was 20.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
really want to go, and he wanted you to really work hard on those 12 reps. So you're going as heavy as possible to hopefully fail around that 12th rep or so, and then go to the next exercise. Again, you have to adjust your weight, as you're fatiguing, but that's how he had it structured. So it would be pretty challenging,
Yeah, I
in my
bet. I
opinion.
bet. Hmm. Okay, so you mentioned the circuit system. Exactly what was that?
Yeah, so to kind of repeat, you're gonna pick, a circuit system is basically you have a series of exercises, six or more exercises, and you're gonna perform those exercises with short rest periods. So you go from one exercise right to the next exercise, however long
Mm-hmm.
it takes you to go to that
Okay.
next exercise. And then you're going to do that for a set number of repetitions or prescribed amount of time. You can use time as well, which I think is also pretty effective. So then you go through all the exercises. That's one complete circuit. After that, you're going to rest. And then you're going to go back through the whole circuit again, depending on how many is outlined with the training routine. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a real simple format. But again, when you're in a busy gym, that's where it can be kind of ugly because you've got people getting in the way of your circuit. So, but the way he would do it, it'd be organized in his gym and have it set up so people would get in and out really quickly. And so it wouldn't really take so long to get the workout done, but also get in the way of other people. They wouldn't have to wait too long either.
So I'm curious, Armin, what were the exercises that he suggested at this point?
Okay, so like Vince is always changing it up. So here he went to parallel dips versus he had the types of dips, the V-bar dip. So this is parallel dips for the pecs, and then he had for the triceps he did reverse parallel dips where you just basically lean back instead of lean forward to get the emphasis on the triceps. Then for deltoids he just did the Scott dumbbell press. So that was the three there. So you'd be doing you're going to go for a parallel dip to the reverse parallel dip to the Scott dumbbell press, then rest,
Mm-hmm.
and then go again, trying to get 12 reps of each one. So, it wouldn't take you too long to get that done. So that's
Right,
good news
right.
there. So then day
Interesting.
two,
Mm-hmm.
he was doing lat pull. Then he would do a 90-degree lateral raise to work the rear delts. And then finish that up with an alternate incline bicep curl. So you do all three of those back to back and then rest and then go again. So again, three sets of 3 rounds, so to speak, of 12 repetitions.
Mm-hmm.
And then for actually, then I've got the forearms. The forearms would be in there too, and that would be a Zotman curl, which you can't really explain that here. You just have to look it up online. But a Zotman curl to work the forearms and the biceps, kind of a
Okay.
combination. So you have basically in there, you had 4 different exercises you would rifle through and then go again. Then day 3 for the thighs, this is where he did a weighted sissy squat. His textbook
Mm.
type of sissy squat. He went in pretty good detail about ways to do that. And then you would go. He didn't really list what hamstring exercise he was going to use. I think it'd probably just be the lying leg curl. And then the donkey calf raise, toe raise was the other one for the calves. So that's when you have somebody sit on your lower back and you get your feet on a block so that you can go up and down with your calf movement. That
Hmm.
one, was pretty popular in the 70s and 80s, but people got uncomfortable sitting on somebody's lower back. People would make jokes about it and stuff. So they made machines now that could actually emulate that. So that's another thing you
Mm-hmm.
could do. There's different, they do make some machines that simulate. So that's how you do the leg day. So that was day 3.
So, out of curiosity, I'm sure everybody's thinking, okay, how long should you do this routine? Do you have a timetable?
And so it's like some of the others I've mentioned before. It's mostly how effective you're going to be, how the results are coming for you, and how
Mm-hmm.
you adapt to it. So I think if you gave it a really good attention, 12 weeks would be really good because you're going to get stronger most likely by your conditioning, and I'm sure you'll start to level out about then. If, maybe sooner, but
Right.
that would be a good one, especially if you feel like you're making good gains, and just keep hitting it hard.
Well, Armin, as usual, a lot of great information. As we wrap up the segment here, any final thoughts on Program 8?
Yeah, I kind of like the circuit strategy because it's a good change up at this point with the training. But to
Mm-hmm.
me, it's more like doing giant sets, which I'm a big fan of. I've gotten really good results doing giant sets. Now, it's very intense, it's very demanding, but it really wakes up a lot of muscle tissue, in my opinion, if especially if you're trying to push yourself, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
adjust the weights accordingly. But I think it's great to get that done. And again, I would just after a period of time, I'd start plugging in some other exercises instead of doing the parallel, you know, dips, and maybe just do
Mm-hmm.
chest presses, dumbbell chest presses, and then or you do flies for your one movement. Then the next one, you go to like again changing up. So instead of doing lat pulls, we'll do some kind of a row movement.
Mm-hmm.
And for like instead of doing the shoulder press, we do lateral raises, different types of those. And then for triceps, I like the closed grip bench is a good one. Uh, for the curls, it could be dumbbell drag curls or regular barbell drag curls. Um, preacher curl.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the legs, you could use a leg press, hack squat, lying leg curl or seated leg curl if you have that available, or dumbbell leg curl, which you would do manually. And then the calf raise, you just change up different machines you use there. I would throw all that in there to really give you a lot of variety so that it could make the program last a lot longer, by
Mm-hmm.
changing it up. And then making notes or using an app so you track everything, see how you're improving. So that's how you learn anyways, is just trying these different routines and seeing how your body reacts to it.
Well, Armin, as usual, a lot of great information, and we're going to continue with program 8, but we're going to be talking about the benefits of desiccated beef liver
Yeah.
and how it worked with program 8. So we'll get into that in the next segment. Armin and I will be right back, so stand by for a quick word from NSP Nutrition.
Hey, and welcome back to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
And I'm Frank Mills, and we're back in the NSP Nutrition Gym, and we appreciate you joining us. Before we get into Program 8 and the benefits of desiccated beef liver, I thought we'd talk about what NSP Nutrition has on their website, and they have beef liver there, and Armin and I both use it. And Armin, it's just quality stuff, man. I love taking the beef liver. I feel different by taking it every day. What about you?
Well, it's a game changer as far as I'm concerned, especially when you're training real hard. It helps your endurance, it helps your strength, and it also can help your growth as far as I'm concerned. So I will say this also, when it comes to buying beef liver, not all beef liver is made equal, because I bought different brands. And so this is something else that some people may not realize, but a lot of brands out there, if you're buying it from elsewhere, it may upset your stomach. And that's what happened with me. I had three different ones that I couldn't even finish them because of how it tore up my stomach. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Don't buy a large dose until you try it out and make sure it breaks down your system properly. So you have capsules, you also have tablets. So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind with that. But they're very effective. They're great for training, and it's an easy way to keep your protein intake up. So I highly recommend it.
Well, and another thing that Armin and I have talked about, and I've done, matter of fact, I just finished a 3-day, what I want to call a supplemental fast or a supplemental diet. We'll say that. Okay. So if you've never done a fast, let's say that you want to try it, but you're a little leery, like, wow, I'm not used to not eating. I felt the same way, but what I did is, due to Armin's direction as well, is just go ahead, being able to take the beef liver as a supplement. Of course, staying hydrated, right? You can have liquids, but basically breakfast, lunch, and dinner was beef liver. And, Armin, there's a lot of positive effects that I've felt from this. I just completed a 3-day, lost a good amount of weight, but there's more about this than just losing weight, right?
Oh yeah, I mean you're helping to, in a lot of cases, you can help preserve your muscle tissue as well because you have protein in your system. So that's another thing that's important. And then it does help to keep, it doesn't cause your insulin to go up, so it keeps your fat burning working. So I'm a big fan of it. I think it's very effective for people as long as you can, understand how to do a fast. When you're doing a fast, it's definitely a low stress environment you want to be under, and don't do it on a training day. So it needs to be off day of training to do your fasting. But if you do that, you'll be surprised how you'll feel and how you'll get through it. So
I agree with you. I think if you try a 1 day, like to put your toe in the water, it makes a lot of sense. But when I did a 3-day, I've done it twice now. Most definitely, it can be challenging depending on your metabolism and your eating schedule. You know, on the first time it was day one for me. The second time it was day two was harder. But
Yeah.
the one thing I did notice, my mental clarity, my focus was off the rails. It was really good. So,
Well,
uh,
yeah, fasting tends to help your hormones perk up. That's another beauty of it. And so I do a 24-hour fast. I'm not as tough as Frank, but I like to do a 24-hour fast. I do that once a week. And, I found it's very helpful as well. So, and people are like, well, won't you lose muscle with that? And I go, well, no, because, I'm, I've got plenty of protein in my system. So that's going to get utilized. Any undigested protein will get utilized, but also your body cannibalizes senescent old cells that aren't working. It clears those out. So it's helping to get rid of damaged cells. That's a plus. And then it can stimulate stem cells, which are new cells. So fasting has a lot of benefits to it, and there's different ways to approach it, though, obviously. But keep that in mind when you do it. You can start with a 24-hour fast, and you'd be surprised, especially if you've been keeping yourself low carb, how it won't really be a big deal for you. So, anyways,
well, Armin, I think the biggest benefit for me was, and this is something I can recommend. If let's say that you have trained, you're curious about getting back to training, or maybe you've never
mhm.
trained. The thing that happened with me when I first did it was it basically kind of reset my body to where,
Oh yeah,
sometimes you crave things and those are gone. It's like starting fresh. So that's the thing that I liked about it.
yeah. There are some different studies that feel like it that state that again the opinion is it helps to reset the metabolism when you do like a 3-day fast. So, anyways, you would know if you tried, and you could probably tell. But that's one of the other things that was a benefit of doing it like a 3-day fast.
Well, that's our thoughts on the NSP nutrition beef liver and a little bit of fasting or
Mhm.
supplemental fasting, supplemental diet, whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
let's get into program 8 and how
Mhm.
Vince uh, offered the benefits of desiccated beef liver. Now, I'm curious because I know what it is now, but what did Vince think about it then? I mean, it was a different time. So I'm kind of curious, Armin.
Well, Vince, as he started learning about it, the way they would make it, they'd take whole beef liver and they'd put it in a vacuum and dry it out at low temperature. So this would maintain and preserve all the attributes of the liver. So okay, so you keeping on nutrition part of it. So that was good
Hmm.
news. But he also learned that the desiccation process, because you're again condensing things, makes it 4 times stronger to have take the beef liver. And so based on that, he's like, okay, it's 4 times stronger. It's better than having cooked liver. So obviously you can
Hmm.
do cooked liver, but if you don't want to cook it or you don't like eating liver, this is much better and also more equivalent to taking raw liver. So
Hmm.
he looked at it and going, well, hey, this is great. So that's where he just started using it. So
Well, I am not a liver eater. I had to grow up eating like the liver and onions type thing. Ugh.
yeah,
Not for me, no way. But I was kind of curious. Let's get into for the people who don't want to eat liver, or even if you do, but this is easier.
yeah.
Let's talk about what is desiccated beef liver and what it does for someone.
All right. So Vince felt it was pretty important when it comes to obtaining increased endurance levels. So he went on to mention from some different medical professionals. The one guy that he mentions is Benjamin H. Ershoff, who has a PhD. He performed a lot of experiments with rats in order to test have an anti-fatigue diet. He was trying to come up with an
Hmm.
anti-fatigue diet. And so he was just experimenting, but he had also, done some research on beef liver. And so he started doing experimentation with rats. And so he had three
Okay.
different groups of rats that he did this experimentation on and to see how their endurance would be affected with the nutrition. So group one, he used a basic diet of just being fortified uh, food with 9 synthetic and 2 natural vitamins.
Okay.
So that was the diet for group 1. Group 2 had the same diet, but then he threw in a B complex. There's a lot of different arguments back and forth about how B complex is good for you, which there's some good validity there. And then in group 3, again, they had the same diet, but instead of using, the B complex, he decided to use 10% desiccated beef liver and add that to their diet. So that's how, he got it all started, and that's when we started researching it.
All right. So what happened?
All right. So as he did these experiments, group 1, he noticed that they had very little growth. They did the same. Group 2 experienced a little higher amount of growth, but then group 3 grew about 15% more than group 1 as far as the size of the rats. So that was
wow.
pretty. He was like, okay. And again, because it's protein, it's probably helping with that. And then after that, he did another test to really see how the fatigue level would work, noting that for all 3 groups.
And so what happened on that test?
Well, it's kind of a sad story, actually, for the rats. But okay, so they took group 1 and they placed these rats in a drum of water, which they couldn't escape. They had to swim to keep from drowning. So they're doing their thing. Group 1 only lasted about 13 minutes, and that was it. No survivors. It was over.
Okay.
So group 2 didn't do much better. They lasted just maybe a couple more minutes. So it was, kind of a moot point. And then they put the group 3 in. So when they put group 3 in, they weren't expecting a lot, things to look very good either. But then what they found is the rats continued to swim and not drown, and they were doing really well. So they kept the experiment going, but after 2 hours, most of them were still swimming. Only a couple of them had drowned. So they suspended everything, let the rest of the rats live. So let's put it that way. They survived.
Wow.
Okay. But what his bottom line was is they swam 10 times longer than the rats that didn't have any desiccated liver. So it was really a earth-shattering kind of discovery at that point. Wow. So beef liver has a lot of good things to it. So that's what ended up happening from there. And then Vince learned about that. So he's like, well, this sounds like really good stuff that would help for training, because if it helps endurance for rats, why not? And then he started he got into it pretty heavy after that, from what I could tell.
Those must have been some like warrior rats, man, to swim that long. 2 hours. That's pretty amazing.
I think they were all pretty surprised, but at least they suspended it. Like, okay, that's enough. We're going to let these guys live.
Right. That's crazy stuff. That's pretty interesting. All right. So what else do you have regarding the benefits of desiccated beef liver?
All right. So one of the other important discoveries with it is that it helps to, because it's a like type of gland, okay, because the liver is a gland. When you eat a gland, it helps nourish other glands. And so what they learned is it also helps to detoxify the liver, especially of any synthetic female hormones. One that was found in beef, it's called DES, and the name is too hard to explain, but you can look up DES if you want to check that out. But it comes from cows, so it helps to detoxify that element of eating beef. Okay, then it also helps with detoxifying, getting rid of cortisone, pharmaceutical drugs, nicotine, alcohol, and marijuana. And I use it when I have alcohol. I also take some beef liver because I find that it helps to really reduce any kind of after effects, the hangover effect by taking beef liver. I take it when I get done drinking alcohol, and it works. It's pretty surprising how it works. This is a quick tip for anybody that's, you're going to celebrate and have a good time, but you got to train the next day. Give that a try, see what you think. I took about 8 capsules with a lot of water. You got to have a lot of water to, get in your system, but that's right before I went to bed. So it tends to help. And then later, there was another discovery by Dr. Minor J. Kuhn from the University of Michigan on desiccated liver, which was quite interesting.
And what did he discover?
So Dr. Kuhn discovered that there's a red pigment red protein pigment that
Mm-hmm.
is in beef liver. And so when he discovered it, he gave it a name. He called it P450. So, what this is, it's stable in the desiccated liver, so it stays in the liver even though it's been, dehydrated and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a catalyst which helps to speed oxidation of chemicals important to the human life and detoxifies poisonous substances that we breathe and digest in food. This P450 have a great detoxifying effect. And so what they also found is it also improves the energy production process and the ability for the body to detoxify and fatigue a lot slower. So it gets rid of the fatigue toxins and helps to detoxify. So bottom line is the beef liver helps make the liver very healthy. So that's good news there. So it helps get rid of anything that gets built up in your system. So that was another thing that Vince
Mm-hmm.
felt was really good. But also it does improve red blood cell count. When you
Mm-hmm.
improve red blood cell count, that improves oxygen, which comes to the body. So this helps your hematocrit, your hemoglobin levels, especially if they're low, and along with your iron levels. Beef liver is a great resource to help improve those, especially if you're getting older. You can just do that. And so if you have low iron and things like that, or low hemoglobin and hematocrit, beef liver is a great supplement to take for that. Now, obviously, if you're training, you're going to get more effect from it. But the one thing I have noticed myself from taking it is it does help my endurance and my strength by taking it on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
compared to what it used to be. So it's just another small thing you can add in your toolbox to help improve your gains, the way I looked at it. And so I'd recommend it to people if you're training hard. To me, that's a staple, just like protein, having just regular protein powder or something as a supplement. I think it's a good combination to add in.
Man, that's some great stuff. And I can also vouch for the alcohol side. I
Yeah.
remembered you told me that before. And a couple of weeks ago, a little bit overdid it. And I remembered it. And I took 10 capsules and I drank a ton of water
Mm-hmm.
and no hangover. It was awesome.
I
Thank
was
you,
pretty
Armin.
surprised.
I appreciate that. All right.
It
So we're
covers a
kind of
lot of
running out
area.
of, yeah. All right, so we're kind of running out of time. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, just if you haven't ever tried it, give it a try. And I like to do 10 capsules at a time, but you can vary it from 5 to 10 capsules. And I take them in between my meals. So again, to help
Mm-hmm.
with protein synthesis, keep the positive nitrogen balance. So that's how I would use it. You could use it a lot of different ways. I don't necessarily take it with a meal. Some people do that. I don't think that's as effective as just taking it in between. So again, you can vary how many you
Hmm.
want to take, but give it a try. Um, and then again, if you have any alcohol, it'll help to detoxify there. And at the same time, if you don't buy an NSP brand, which is fine,
Mm-hmm.
then don't buy a big amount of any other brand until you try it, because they upset your stomach. And there's different reasons for that, because of maybe what they're adding into the beef liver. But I
Mm-hmm.
just know that I've never had a problem ever with the NSP beef liver digesting and breaking down and getting in my system. So I don't recommend other brands, but if you're going to try them, uh, don't buy a big chunk of it. Just try a small batch.
I agree. Yeah, I never had a problem with the NSP beef liver either.
Nah.
Matter of fact, I always felt better after I took it than before. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good stuff. Well, as Armin, as always, you do a great show. You bring a lot of good content to try to help, and we're always looking for that good content. And we kind of lean on our audience sometimes, and we're getting a lot of comments and feedback, but it's something that we're always looking for, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, again, we're trying to help. So I'm using some of Vince's topics because a lot of people are not even aware of some of the things that he was aware of. So this is also
Mm-hmm.
helpful too. I've learned a lot from it myself. But yeah, anything that you're struggling with or you have questions about, let us know. Maybe we can make that a topic that we can cover. If you're struggling with it, probably other people are struggling with it as well. Or if you're just kind of curious, people, have the same questions. So let us know. And we really appreciate the comments and the support we're getting as well.
I absolutely agree. It's nice to get the feedback because sometimes you wonder, you know, who's watching, who's listening. And yeah, we see
Yeah,
statistics, but you know what I mean? It's nice to be
right.
able to interact. And, if you want to interact, if you have a topic, a suggestion, a comment, whatever, please contact us. We look forward to that. You can either comment on the YouTube channel right
Yep.
under the show, right in that content, or if you prefer to send an email, you can do that as well. And that email is support@nspnutrition.com. As always, Armin and I thank you for joining us, whether you're watching or listening. We really appreciate it, as does NSP Nutrition. And join Armin and I next week for a brand new episode of the NSP Nutrition Show.
Hey, thanks for checking out the NSP Show. Go to nspnutrition.com where you can find a whole heap of resources to help you achieve stunning definition and eye-popping levels of muscularity. Don't forget, you can save 10% on your first order by using the code NSP Show at the checkout. Catch you next time.